You know, being a world-renowned internet yogi isn't all about doing handstands with a cool blue mohawk and drinking mango passion fruit fermented tea. I have to spend a lot of my day in front of a computer, writing blog posts, editing video, so I know how it feels to sit at a desk. Some days it's your neck, some days it's your shoulder, your low back, or your hips, and of course, day in and day out, year after year, this can start to pile up in your body so that even when you're not at your workstation, you may find yourself walking around crammed into your desk posture. So today, we're going to do a yoga practice that's intended to address some of these issues. We're going to lengthen where we need to lengthen, we're going to strengthen where we need to strengthen, and we're going to work to build some body awareness in some of those problem areas so that we can start to develop the tools for ourselves to help reclaim our bodies from the desk. You won't need yoga blocks absolutely for this practice, but if you have them, go ahead and grab them now, and then let's get started. So if you haven't already, go ahead and find your way into a comfortable seated position. And then close your eyes and start to shift your attention inward. Just allowing yourself to focus on sensations of your body against the mat. Any sensations that might be present in your body. Just observing what's arising. Starting to notice if there's particular energetic quality to your experience. Becoming aware of the breath as it moves in and out through the nose. And then bringing your palms together in Anjali Mudra, prayer position at the level of your heart. Let's take a moment to consider your sankalpa. What do you need from today's practice to help bring you into a state of balance or a state of harmony? And then take a moment to consider where you would like the practice to take you in the long run, your heart's desire. And you may find it helpful to formulate this intention in a simple declarative sentence in the present tense. I am loving kindness. I am awake. I am pure being. I am patient, loving, and kind. Whatever it is for you, take a moment. See if you can start to feel your way into it. Beginning to notice that your awakening is already at hand. Trusting that this practice will serve your highest intention. Let's seal that intention and set the context for the rest of our work together by chanting Hari Om 3 times together. Inhale. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Slowly opening your eyes. Release your hands down to your lap. Let's go ahead and get started today in Child's Pose. And if you have yoga blocks, We're going to want to set those up at the front of the mat. You don't absolutely need them for class today. We'll use them a little bit at the beginning, maybe again at the end, just to help us kind of explore what's happening in some of these shapes. So if you have your yoga blocks, or even if you don't, let's go ahead and come on into child's pose with your hands resting on the blocks or resting on the floor. And if your hands are on yoga blocks, you may find that you might not be able to get your head quite all the way down to the floor like usual. And of course, if you're tight in your hips or your low back in particular, make sure that you create a little additional space there by taking your knees a little wider than your hips. And if it serves you better today to leave your hips up high so they're more above your knees, then feel free to go ahead and do that. And as you come into this posture, this may feel kind of intense right off the bat, especially if you find that your overhead shoulder mobility has been limited or restricted, maybe perhaps by spending some of the time at your desk in front of your computer. But we're in no rush here, so just allowing yourself to explore, and if you need to incorporate some movement, go ahead. Noticing the sensations that are present in the body as they arise. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and come forward. Place your elbows down on the blocks this time. Bring your hands together in prayer position. And then return to child's pose, letting your triceps sink down toward the blocks. And you start to feel perhaps a little more lengthening underneath the arms, in the armpits, maybe even along the sides of the ribs and into the upper back. Release your head. Again, where you're trying to get. And in this position, it may be even more challenging to get your hips down towards your heels, but don't worry about that. Just enjoy that sensation of feeling the chest drop. Continuing with your breathing practice. All right, then when you're ready, let's go ahead and come up onto your blocks or your mat and find a tabletop position. And we'll just extend the right leg straight out behind you. Rock back and forth a few times. Pressing the heel down toward the ground, lengthening out the back of the leg. And then switching directions, or switching sides rather. Press the left leg back. Just rocking the heel back and forth. And then coming back to neutral. Let's go ahead and press back into downward facing dog. So whether or not you're on your blocks, make sure you root down through your index finger, the base of your index finger. And as always, if you want to take a little movement here in this first downward facing dog, feel free to shift your hips or adjust in any way that feels good to you. And then from here, let's shift forward into plank pose. Shoulders are going to come slightly in front of the wrists. Engage the low belly, dome the upper back, tuck the chin just slightly. And remember, plank can be done on your forearms. You can bring your forearms down onto the blocks. And then from here, let's step the right foot forward outside of the right hand. And we'll make some circles with the hips. So let's Begin to move your hips in a circular direction, flexing and extending at the knee. And then switch directions. Go ahead and step back into plank pose, shoulders over the wrists, engage the low belly, inner leg lines wrapping up towards the ceiling, broaden the upper back. Good. And then bring your left foot forward, and we'll make some circles with the hips on the other side. And then switching directions. Good, and then stepping the left foot back, join the right. Let's lower both knees down to the mat. Exhale, sink back towards child's pose. And then on your inhalation, rock forward into table, look forward past the front of the mat, extend the spine, maybe bring your hips down through, lift the chest into this kind of modified up dog shape. And we'll move that way with the breath a few times. Each time you exhale, lower your hips down towards your heels. Each time you inhale, extend the spine. Again, exploring the movement. Don't try to make anything happen. Focusing on using the movement to support the breath, seeing if you can make the breath last a little bit longer than the movement. And the next time you come forward, let's take a few breaths here. Again, be mindful of what's happening in the low back. It's still very early in the practice. And focus on pressing down through your hands and see if you can start to engage your back body, back of your neck, the back of your shoulders, drawing the shoulder blades together. Feel the mid-back, the low back. Just slightly start to engage the muscles in your glutes. Maybe after a few breaths, you can start to focus on pressing down through the top of your feet, really creating a lot of length in the spine, rather than trying to create a really dramatic curve in your spine. See if you can think about waking up the back body to support this lengthening from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. Good. All right, then from here, let's go ahead and come back into your neutral table. We'll set the blocks aside for now if you've been working on them, and bringing your hands down underneath your shoulders. We'll just start to move the rib cage in a circular fashion, moving in a direction perpendicular to the long edge of your mat. So I'm not moving forward or backward. I'm just focusing on rolling my rib cage, my thoracic spine around in a circular direction, letting the chest drop at the bottom, and then feeling the shoulder blades rise up toward the ceiling at the top, and then switching directions. Side to side, and really trying to isolate the movement into that area between your low back and the base of your neck. Good. All right, then from here, let's walk your hands. One handprint in front of where they're at, dial your index fingers open just slightly, press yourself back to downward facing dog. A couple of breaths here. And then at the bottom of your exhalation, Let's step your right foot forward inside of your right thumb. Bring your left knee and the top of your left foot down to the mat. We'll bring both hands to the top of your right thigh as you rise up. Find that length in your spine. Draw your shoulder blades back and down. And then tuck your tailbone under slightly so that you engage your gluteal muscles and you start to see if you feel some increased length on the left side. Breathe in here. Good, and then on your next exhalation, let's go ahead and come forward. So shift your weight forward, and then inhale back up. And just move this way with your own breath a few times. The next time you come forward, let's keep the right knee over the right ankle. Bring your left hand down to the ground. Bring your right hand to the top of your right thigh and press down through the heel of your hand. Come into a twist. So breathing here, pressing down to the right hand to help lengthen the spine. Chin stays tucked, spine stays long. Breathing here. When you're ready, let's go ahead. Bring your right hand down outside your right foot. Step your right foot back to meet the left. Inhale the shoulders over the wrist. Exhale, lower down with control. Inhale, cobra, or maybe up dog. Gauge the back body to lengthen the front body and the spine. And then exhale, downward facing dog. All right, at the bottom of your next exhalation, step your left foot forward, bring your right knee, top of the right foot down, hands come to the top of your thigh, lift up to the crown of your head, tuck your tailbone under slightly so that you feel that posterior tilt of your pelvis, start to lengthen the front and the right side of your hip flexors, feeling the low hips engage, and then when you're ready, exhale, shift forward. Inhale back up. Just keep moving this way. All right, coming forward. Let's bring the right hand down underneath the right shoulder. Left hand comes to the top of the left thigh. Roll the fingers inward. Press down through the heel of the hand. Twist, breathe, lengthen, tuck the chin, making yourself as long as you can between the crown of your head and your tailbone. Feeling the left shoulder stack over the right wrist. Continuing to breathe. Good, and then bringing your left hand down outside your left foot. Let's step the back foot up to meet the front foot. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Tuck the chin, bend the knees, feel the rib cage, pressing down on the thighs. And start to isometrically drag your heels toward the long edges of the mat so you feel these muscles in your outer hips start to wake up. See if you can feel them lifting up toward the ceiling as you continue to release the crown of your head. Good, and then on your inhalation, let's come halfway up, lengthen out the spine, tailbone presses toward the back of the mat. Keep that isometric drag of your heels towards the long edges of your mat. Bring your arms out at a 45-degree angle, lengthening through the back of the neck. Press the back of your hands, the back of your elbows toward the ceiling above you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Feel the muscles over your pubic bone. Draw in to support this action. Continue breathing. Good, then on your exhalation, let's go ahead and forward fold. Release down onto the mat. Inhale, come all the way up. Sweep your arms up. Maybe palms come to touch overhead. And then exhale, mountain pose. All right, stay where you're at. I'm going to turn and face the camera so you can see what I'm up to. Let's go ahead and turn your palm of your right hand up toward the ceiling. Turn
the palm of your left hand toward the back of the room, and then drop your right ear over toward your right shoulder and really extend through your hands. Keep your chest lifted, shoulder blades sliding down the back, and then we'll switch to the other side. Left hand turns up, so externally rotating the left arm, internally rotating the right arm, and then letting the left ear drop over toward the left shoulder. So let's keep moving this way with your breath, inhaling to center, and then exhaling to the other side, almost like you're wringing out your arms. And your shoulders. Keep dropping the shoulders down, emphasizing finding that length between your ears and the tops of your shoulders each time you inhale. Coming back to center, let's inhale the shoulders up by the ears, and then exhale, roll them back and down, lift the chest, draw the shoulder blades together, and we'll do that a few times. Inhaling the shoulders up, exhaling them back and down, lifting the chest. Just keep moving this way. Good, and then coming back to neutral, let's bring your attention to your right arm. Slowly make a loose fist with your right hand. Slowly start to bring your arm up toward the ceiling. And as you do, really focus on using the muscles, the back of your shoulders and your upper back to initiate the movement as you bring it back, around, and through. So keep moving in this way. And again, like I said, focus rather than on swinging your arm around and generating any momentum, on seeing if you can maintain that feeling of connectivity, that feeling of your muscles controlling the movement all the way through, particularly focusing on that part of the movement where you start to lift your arm and bring it up and back, and using those muscles in your upper back to control the movement. Switch to the other side, loose fist with the left hand, slowly drawing the arm up, waking up those muscles in the upper back. And again, the goal is not to try to bring a ton of heat into the joint quickly by swinging it around. It will heat up on its own. The idea is rather to improve the quality of the movement with each repetition. Let's come back to the front of the mat. If you're not already there, on your inhalation, lift the chest, lift your palms, roll your elbows forward, bend your knees so that you come into extension of the spine, and really use your legs. Feel your legs grounding down into the mat. Feel your glutes engaged to support the low back. And then on your exhalation, slowly shift forward, bend the knees a lot, tuck the chin as you roll forward, wrap your arms around the back of your legs and round the upper back. So moving from flexion to extension of the spine. Each time you inhale, come up, roll the elbows forward, lift the palms, ground the feet. Each time you exhale, bend the knees even more, round the spine. Nice and slow. Continue moving in this way with your own breath, focusing on extending the breath to make the breath last a little bit longer than the movement. Each time you come forward, draw your low belly in towards your spine. Alright, the next time you come forward, let's release into a forward fold, maybe lengthening out the back of the legs a little bit, and then let's bring your left hand down onto the mat or a block underneath your chin. Bend through your left leg and we'll take a twist to your right. Right hand can come to the sacrum, maybe extending the right hand up toward the ceiling, feeling that length along the outside of your right leg, extending the right arm up. Good, and then switch. Right hand comes down, right leg bends. Left hand comes to the sacrum, and maybe the left hand comes up toward the ceiling. You can look up if it feels okay on your neck. If it doesn't, look down at your right hand. Continue breathing. Good. All right, then from here, let's take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and lower down into a deep squat malasana. So remember, if your heels don't come down onto the ground, you can take your feet a little wider and or turn your toes out to the side a little bit more. Lift up through the crown of your head. You can bring your arms together in palms together in Anjali Mudra. If you like making that shape, or you can even just let your hands rest down on the floor and just focus on trying to allow your tailbone to sink down toward the floor and find a little more lift through the crown of your head. All right, then from here, let's go ahead and come all the way back up to standing. Sweep your arms out and up, reach overhead, maybe palms come to touch, and then exhale, mountain pose. All right, we're gonna move through a modified Ardha Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, lift the chest, roll the palms up, elbows forward, bend the knees. Exhale, round the back, tuck the chin, wrap the arms around the back of the legs. Inhale, half lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, deep squat. Inhale, come all the way up, sweep the arms out and up, maybe palms come to touch. Exhale, mountain pose. All right, let's do that a few more times. Inhale, lift the chest, roll the palms and the elbows forward, bend the knees. Exhale, bend the knees more. Round the spine, tuck the chin. Inhale, lengthen the spine, half lift. Exhale, deep squat. Inhale, rise up, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, mountain pose. Let's go through that sequence a few more times on your own, at your own pace, with your own breath. Last round here. And this next time, when you come into your deep squat, let's all meet in that deep squat. So from your deep squat, let's bring both hands down to the ground. Step your left foot back into a runner's lunge shape. And then from here, keep the left hand planted. We'll take a twist to the right. So extend the right arm up toward the ceiling. And then reach the right arm forward and make a crescent moon shape with your upper body. So right bicep is hugging close to the right ear, creating a lot of length between the right armpit and the outer right hip. Good, and then bringing your right hand back down inside of your right foot. Let's step the left foot outside of the left hand. Sink back down into your malasana. Take an inhale here. And then on your exhalation, both hands come down. Right foot steps back. Right hand stays grounded underneath the right shoulder. Reach the left arm up and then over the ear. Press your left rib cage up toward the ceiling, and as you reach overhead with your left arm, draw your left shoulder away from the ear so that you feel like you're trying to create length between your finger and your shoulder, and then length again between your left armpit and your hip. Continue breathing. Good. And then from here, let's go ahead and bring your left hand back down, step your right foot back up, sink back down into your malasana. Inhale, rise up, palms come up, maybe they touch overhead. Exhale, mountain pose. All right, adjust your stance so your feet are about hip width apart, and then from here, we're going to bring our arms out in front of us, palms facing down. We'll step the left foot back, and then slowly lower down until you feel your knee just touch the ground, and then turn your palms up toward the ceiling as you come back up and return to mountain pose. Staying with the left foot stepping back, exhaling down, inhaling up. Keep moving this way. Last time on this side, once you come back to your Uttanasana, bring your hands alongside your hips, turn your palms to face the room, lift up through the crown of your head, let your shoulders drop down away from your ears, and allow your breath just to slow back down. See if you can keep your body still. Let's practice the same thing on the other side. So we'll step back with the right foot, right knee lowers down toward the mat, touch it softly, and then turn the palms back up as you rise on the inhalation. Just keep moving this way. Keep the chest lifted. And of course, most of the action is in that front leg. Watch you come back up to standing. Find your mountain pose, close your eyes. Watch your breathing, just let it smooth out. Checking in with that internal landscape. Feeling the energy move through your body. Noticing your heart rate. All right. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold into the hips, bend your knees. Inhale, half lift. Find that length in your spine. And then on your exhalation, bend your knees a lot. Bring your hands down to the floor. Hop back into plank and lower down. Inhale, cobra. Maybe up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, from here, let's shift forward into plank pose. Engage the low belly. Roll the inner leg lines up toward the ceiling. Slightly doming the upper back. And then shifting your weight onto your left hand. Roll both heels over to the left. Extend your right arm up toward the ceiling. And then exhale back through center. And we'll shift to the other side. And just keep moving this way with your own breath. Stretching the breath to make it last a little bit longer than the movement. Once you're done, both sides, an equal number of times, return to your plank pose. Inhale the shoulders over the wrists, and then lower all the way down to your belly with control. Tops of the feet come down. Make a pillow with your hands. Bring your forehead down onto the back of your top hand and allow everything to slow down. Bringing your forearms down onto the mat, elbows underneath the shoulders, palms flat on the floor or the mat. We're setting up for Sphinx pose. And really focus here again, not on trying to create a super deep back bend, or really think about trying to bend your spine a lot, but think about creating as much space as you can between your ears and your shoulders by lifting up through the crown of the head, pressing down through your forearms, and dragging your forearms and your elbows back towards your heels, so that you feel your chest start to pull forward through your shoulders. And as you do, start to see if you can feel that lengthening of your spine. Shoulder blades drawing together, upper back is active. All those muscles linking the back of your shoulders to your neck and your shoulder blades, energetically engaged, not creating fight, but just keeping that part of your body awake. And now, without changing anything, press down through the tops of your feet. Lift your knees up off the mat. Start to feel the muscles in the back of your legs engage. So lengthening and engaging at the same time. Make sure you're working evenly on both sides of the body. If there's less sensation on one side of your body, see if you can encourage it to come online by drawing the energy of your breath there. All right, exhale, let's lower all the way down to your belly. Palms come down flat on the mat. On your next exhalation, extend your right arm straight out alongside of you, palm facing down. Roll to the right. And then inhale back to center. And then exhale to the left. Inhale back to center. Keep moving this way with your own breath. Move slowly enough, you should have plenty of time to explore the end range of motion in your shoulder. And make sure that you don't rush through the inhalations. So when you return back to the middle of the mat, a slight pause as you allow your inhalation to complete before you move on to the next side. Next time you come back to center, let's bring your palms down flat on the mat, heels of the hands by the low ribs, curl your toes under, lift your knees up off the mat, keep your elbows in close to your body, and on your exhalation, press yourself back up into plank, and then shift your hips back for downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, let's step your right foot outside of your right hand. We'll drop the back knee and the top of the back foot down onto the mat, and then twisting, extending the right arm up toward the ceiling. And then on your exhalation, bring your forearm and your elbow down toward the mat inside of your right foot. And let's move this way with the breath. Each time you inhale, reaching up. Each time you exhale, dropping that forearm down toward the mat. Next time you exhale, let's stay lowered. Bring your right hand down onto the mat so that you can shift your left arm off the left side of your mat. So creating a little more space as you walk your left hand off, and then roll onto your left hip. Let your left shoulder shrug up by your ear. So this is kind of the opposite of what we've been doing a lot with pulling the shoulders away from the ears. And of course, ultimately, that's the posture that we're kind of looking to work with a lot of the time, is that shoulder shrugged up by the ear shape. But in this case, we're gonna go ahead and let it happen so that we can increase the length on the left side of the body. So allow your left hip just to drop. I'm on the pinky toe side of my left foot. Continue breathing. Good, and then let's go ahead, come on back to your mat. Both hands come down about shoulder width apart. Stay grounded through the left hand again. Bend through your left knee. Reach your right arm back. Maybe you just extend toward the back of the room today and use the strength of your hamstring to draw your left heel up toward the mat. Or maybe you can grab for the outside of your left foot with your right hand. Use the strength of your arm to draw your heel in toward your hip. Again, letting the front of your left hip drop forward toward the mat, but keep your tailbone tucked under slightly. So there's still some engagement in your back body. Feel the left glute, the left hamstring kind of participating. And remember, you can always slide a strap around your foot if the bind is inaccessible and you'd like to be able to close the kinetic chain. Good. here, let's go ahead and release that left foot back down onto the mat. Bring both hands down onto the mat. Step yourself back into plank. And then from here, let's step the left foot forward. We'll drop the right knee, top of the right foot down to the mat. Inhale, twist. Left arm extends up towards the ceiling. Exhale, left forearm, left elbow down toward the mat. And move this way with your own breath. All right, on your next exhalation, let's bring your left hand down inside your left foot. Walk your right hand off the right edge of your mat, and then roll onto the pinky toe side of your right foot, just letting your right hip drop down toward the mat, and then you may need to adjust the position of your left foot a little bit as you allow your right shoulder to shrug up toward your ear. So again, creating that length along the rib cage and the side body, one of these areas where we tend to get really stuck when we're in our desk chairs. Again, not so much trying to force our bodies into moving deeply in the opposite direction from the posture that we create in a chair, but thinking more about bringing more awareness into the ways that our body can move in and out of and around those shapes. Good, all right, and coming back to where we started, hands come down onto the mat, inside of the left foot, and then from here we're going to ground down through the right hand again. Bend the right knee, draw your right heel up toward your bottom, extend your left arm out behind you. Maybe you stay here, maybe you bind on the outside of the right foot, maybe you grab for a strap and loop it around your ankle. Once you find your shape, allow your front of your right hip to start to drop down toward the mat. Tuck your tailbone slightly. Engage gluteal muscles, particularly on the right side. The hamstring is conspiring to help draw that heel inward. Keep breathing. Keep stacking the right shoulder. Left shoulder over the right. Upper back is engaged, neck is long, chin is slightly tucked. Good. And then releasing both hands down to the mat. Let's press back into downward facing dog. Find your breath. And at the bottom of your next exhalation, let's practice an external breath retention. So exhaling all the air out, suck the low belly in toward the spine, hold the air out for a couple of seconds, and then when you feel like you want to breathe, release the low belly and let the air come back in through the nose, and repeat a few more times. So engaging all three bandhas, Mula Bandha at the base of your body and your pelvic floor, Uddiyana Bandha, your stomach muscles drawing in toward the pubic bone and up, tucking the chin slightly for Jalandhara Bandha. once you've completed the round that you're currently on, let's come down onto our knees, find your way onto your back. We'll take our feet about hip width apart. Bring your arms out to the sides. And on your exhalation, just let both of your knees drop over to the right. And then inhale back to center. And then exhale both knees over to the left. And then inhale back to center. And just keep moving this way with your own breath. Next time you come back to center, let's bring both palms down alongside the hips, lengthen out the spine, and then with your feet about hip distance apart, heels up close to the base of your body, press down through your heels to lift the hips for bridge pose. Find that isometric resistance in your feet, pressing your toes toward the front of the mat, engage the glutes, working both sides evenly to start. Hands can stay flat on the mat, or you can start to move your hands towards one another, maybe rolling your shoulders underneath your torso to broaden the chest, lengthen out the back of the neck. Don't forget about that engagement in your legs. Good, and then exhale, lower down. We're going to repeat this 2 more times. So feel free to play with any variations that you like. I'm going to guide us through a couple of variations. So if you want to stay with me, that's great. But if you'd rather move into a restorative bridge, sliding a block or 2 underneath your hips, go ahead. Or if you want to press into something more vigorous like Uttanasana, you can play around with that as well. All right, so if you're staying with me, press down through your feet, lift your hips, weave your fingers together, maybe behind your back. If you're not leaving your palms on the ground, roll your shoulders under, and then from here, let's walk the left foot in toward the middle of your mat, ground down through the heel and the ball of the foot, and extend the right foot up toward the ceiling, lengthening out the back of the leg. Good. And then lowering the right foot down, lower the hips. A couple breaths here. We'll do one more. Press the hips up, maybe weave the hands together, maybe roll the shoulders underneath the upper back, walk the right foot in, ground down through the heel and the ball bounce through your foot, extend your left leg, breathe here. All right. Coming back down. Let's go ahead and release the legs long out on the mat. And then from here, tuck your chin, pick up your shoulder blades, extend your arms towards your toes, press your low back down into the floor to engage the muscles over your pubic bone. And if it feels okay on your low back, pick up your feet as well. Keep the low back pressing down toward the floor. Good, and then let's go ahead and release. Bend the knees, take the feet wider than the hips. Bring your arms out to the side. Let both knees drop over to the right for a static stretch. If you want to hook the right ankle over the outside of your left thigh, go ahead. Turn your eye gaze to look towards your left thumb. Coming back through neutral, unwind the leg, unwind the knees, and then let both knees drop over to the left. Make sure to keep that width between your feet so that your knees are nice and wide. Unless, of course, this creates a problem in your low back, then you can bring your feet a little closer together. Hook your left ankle over the outside of your right thigh. Turn your eye gaze toward your right hand. And take a few breaths here. Unwinding. Let's start to find your way into your final rest, Shavasana. Extend the legs, extend the arms. Once you're here, rock your feet a little bit side to side, initiating the movement from your upper thigh so that you feel your femurs internally and externally rotating in your hip socket, and then let your feet just flop open. And press down through the heels, lift your hips, untuck your tailbone a little bit, so that you feel your low back lengthen out. Then press down through the back of your head. Pick your shoulder blades up off the mat. Lift your chest. Slide your shoulder blades down towards your bottom, and then set them back down. And then lastly, pick up your head. Set it back down onto the mat. Closing your eyes, if you haven't already. Start to draw your attention inward, allowing yourself to rest and expand into the space that you've created with your body, with your attention, and with your breath. If you feel like staying in your final resting pose for longer, please stay. You can feel free to pause the video and then pick back up. But if you are ready to start to transition away from your Shavasana, start by deepening your breath. And then slowly start to add back some movement into your fingers, your toes. And then when you're ready, take your time to find your way back up to a comfortable seat. Once you find your comfortable seat, and bring your palms together in prayer position at the level of your heart. And take a moment to lengthen out through your spine. And then allow your hands to just rest comfortably anywhere on your lap. Closing your eyes if you haven't already. Check to make sure you're balanced left to right on your sit bones. Release the low belly. Feel your shoulders falling away from your ears. Tuck your chin slightly. And release your tongue down from the roof of your mouth, pressing it lightly against the juncture where the back of your top teeth meet the roof of your mouth. Then from here, on your next inhalation, See if you can feel the crown of your head lifting slightly up toward the ceiling, almost as if your spine is lengthening out. And then on your exhalation, allow your attention to drop down into your low belly. Then on your next inhalation, see if you can draw energy into your chest, almost as if you were breathing in love and compassion. And then on your exhalation, allow the breath just to release out into the awareness surrounding you in every direction. Inhaling, lifting up through the crown of the head. Exhaling, dropping your attention down into your belly. Inhaling light, love, and compassion into the chest. And then exhaling and releasing out into awareness in every direction. Just keep continuing with this pattern, with your awareness, with your breathing. And after a few more rounds, let go of inhaling and lengthening up through the crown of the head and bringing your awareness down into the belly on the exhalation. And simply focus on inhaling light and love into the chest and allowing yourself to release into awareness with each exhalation. I'm going to invite you now to continue with this practice for as long as you like, until you feel ready to get up and go about the yoga of the rest of your day. Namaste.